Hidden beneath the sun-scorched sands of the Valley of the Kings, a boy pharaoh slept. His tomb remained untouched for thousands of years, concealed from looters who had plundered much of the valley's riches since the pharaohs of Egypt were first buried. Some of these tombs contained warnings, curses upon those who dared to desecrate or steal from these sacred sites. Tomb raiding has been common since ancient times, and these curses did little to dissuade robbers. But the boy king, Tutankhamun, was undisturbed. This all changed in November of 1922, when British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the location of the tomb, with his colleague Arthur Callender, his financial backer, the Earl of Carnarvon, the Earl's daughter, Lady Evelyn, and a large team of Egyptian excavators. Carter opened Tutankhamun's burial chamber to the modern world. But shortly after this heralded discovery, several people involved in the excavation of the tomb, as well as friends and family, died of mysterious illnesses or accidents. Very quickly, the media picked up the story, with many speculating that the pharaoh's tomb was harboring a deadly curse. How did this legend take hold? And is there any truth to the story? I'm Nicole Miras, and this is Fireside Fables. Ancient Egypt has always been a source of fascination for scholars, but it was in the early 19th century that Egyptomania really took hold in Europe. The event that launched the craze was Napoleon's invasion of Egypt in 1798, in which the French endeavored to remove British influence in the region and undercut their trading routes to India. While the French ultimately failed in their goal, the invasion resulted in the discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799. The stone features a decree from King Ptolemy V Epiphanes. Crucially, the decree was written in Egyptian hieroglyphics and Demotic script, as well as in ancient Greek, meaning that for the first time, scholars could use this source to create a comprehensive translation of hieroglyphs. Also, if folklore and history are your thing, make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss future stories like this. Anyway, after the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, fascination with ancient Egypt only grew, and the architecture and art of this ancient civilization found its way into European art, architecture, fashion, occult practices, and more. After Britain colonized Egypt in the 1880s, further archaeological digs, as well as more looting, funneled artifacts from Egypt into Britain. Egypt would not gain independence from Britain until 1922. The year King Tut's tomb was found, which is why the artifacts from that discovery remained the property of the Egyptian government. When Carter made his discovery, the public was already primed to associate Egypt with magic and mysticism. I can't emphasize enough the magnitude of this discovery. As I mentioned earlier, tomb raiding was a common problem all the way back in ancient Egypt. But Tutankhamun's tomb had been untouched until Carter and his crew opened it. Inside, they found a wealth of grave goods, including furniture, chariots, clothing, weapons, jewelry, and of course, King Tutankhamun's mummy, wearing a gold death mask and enclosed in a sarcophagus. The Egyptians believed that the pharaoh's spirit would need these grave goods in the afterlife, which was why grave robbing was perceived as a terrible threat. Many of the furniture pieces needed restoration after centuries underground, sometimes in humid conditions. That discovery in November 1922 launched a major restoration project, which is still being undertaken today. It was sensational. Tourists flocked to the Valley of the Kings to see the tomb for themselves. Newspapers around the world covered the story, and this coming so shortly after the First World War, it was a welcome bit of escapism. But wasn't it bad luck to unearth the tomb? Several months later, Lord Carnarvon would be dead. If the name Carnarvon rings a bell, the ancestral seat of the Earls of Carnarvon is Highclere Castle in Hampshire, England. Highclere was, of course, used as the setting for Downton Abbey. George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, was an amateur Egyptologist who wanted to take part in a discovery of this magnitude, and luckily for him, he did live long enough to see this come to fruition. On February 16, 1923, Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon hosted a public viewing period of the chambers. This was so Egyptian government officials and members of the media could take pictures and see the inside of the tomb. And on February 26th, the tomb once again was closed. A few days later, Lord Carnarvon became ill. A few weeks later, he died. His death on April 5th, 1923, was caused by a mosquito bite on his cheek, which he unfortunately nicked while shaving. The infection resulted in blood poisoning and pneumonia. Pretty horrendous luck. Or was it? Immediately, there was public speculation that he had been cursed for opening King Tut's tomb. And I mean immediately. This was an article that was published on April 6, 1923 in the New York Times, the day after Carnarvon died. Carnarvon's death spreads theories about vengeance. In Egypt, England, France, and here, occultists advance stories of angered gods. I'll include a GIF link so you can read it for yourselves, but the article includes both the dismayed reactions from Egyptologists who widely dismissed the idea of a curse, as well as occultists and spiritualists like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who believed that opening the tomb had unleashed an angry spirit. Then, the following month, an American railroad executive named George J. Gould, who was the son of Jay Gould, the Gilded Age robber baron, caught a fever after visiting the tomb. He would die soon after of pneumonia. Arthur Mace, another archaeologist who helped in the excavation of King Tut's tomb, would have to leave Egypt the next year due to his declining health. In 1928, he also died of pneumonia. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed was a radiologist who did not participate in the excavation of the tomb, but he did conduct x-rays of King Tut's mummy. Shortly after doing so, he fell sick and died. Richard Blethell, Lord Carnarvon's secretary, was found smothered to death in his bed in 1929. Sir Bruce Ingham, who was a friend of Howard Carter's, had received a gift of a mummified hand from Howard Carter, and shortly after, his house burned down. He rebuilt his home, and then it later flooded. With this list of deaths and accidents, you can see how this fed the narrative of a vengeful spirit cursing anyone who had any tangential involvement with King Tut's excavation. Hollywood also played a role. In 1932, Universal Studios released The Mummy, a film in which a team of archaeologists accidentally resurrect an Egyptian mummy named Imhotep. Then in 1939, Howard Carter died of lymphoma. Even though this was now 17 years after the discovery of King Tut's tomb, it nevertheless resurrected rumors of the cursed excavation. It should be noted that the vast majority of people who were involved in the excavation lived totally normal, uncursed lives, including Lord Carnarvon's daughter, Lady Evelyn. She was only 21 when she entered the tomb with her father and Howard Carter, and she lived to be 78 years old. It was during her time in Egypt that she would meet her husband, Sir Brograve Beauchamp. He toured the tomb in 1923, and he too lived into his 70s. What about the string of pneumonia-related deaths? Could there be a scientific explanation? During the 1970s, another tomb excavation appeared to be thoroughly cursed, but this time it was in Poland. Out of the 12 archaeologists who excavated the 15th century crypt of King Casimir IV, 10 died. In this tragic incident, scientists were able to find a clear explanation. Aspergillus flavus, a deadly fungus present within the crypt. This fungus causes lung infections, leading some to speculate that it could have been present in King Tutankhamun's tomb as well. However, the evidence with King Tut is shakier because the vast majority of people who entered the tomb did not become sick. But it does present the possibility of some kind of pathogen that was present in the tomb when it was opened. Today, most of the artifacts from King Tutankhamun's tomb are housed in the Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza, which, after years of construction, is finally open to the public. It is a stunning building, and I am so jealous of anyone who has the chance to visit. But what about King Tutankhamun? The mummy remains in his tomb in the Valley of the Kings, sleeping in his rightful place. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you're enjoying the show, please make sure to subscribe and maybe even share it with a friend or two. Be well, and I'll see you next week.